I welcome all of you to IBM TV and to this show, which is Dr. Dhawan's live chat, and I'm your host, Dr. Sanjay Dhawan. I'm an eye surgeon practicing in New Delhi. The live chat is a show which talks about any and all aspects of life, any subject, anything that concerns the life or it improves its quality is what we will be talking about. How to plan for it, how to prepare for it. So we'll be talking about all of this. Looking forward to seeing all of you every Friday night, 9:30 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. Indian time. Thank you. Bye-bye. Namaste.
Hi, Namaste. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome again to Dr. Dhawan's live chat on this Friday evening. Today, we will talk about, anything and everything, and we have no agenda. Today, there's absolutely no agenda, actually. And there should be some time in life when there should be no agenda. Actually, there was an agenda which we were thinking of. We were thinking of, talking about village life in this episode. We could not really get villagers to talk about their life. No. We could not get people who have spent time in villages to take out time and talk about that. We somehow could not get those people to talk about things. So we thought, let us talk amongst ourselves about, life in the lap of nature, what natural life would be, how natural life is, or what village life could be, or some people who have had some glimpses of village life or observed village life have their inputs, and to talk about in general. So let us again say that there is no agenda. And in life, in your routine, in your schedule, on the daily basis, on a weekly basis, on a monthly, there should be some time where you should not have any agenda at all. So let me, welcome my guests on the show who are here to talk about no agenda at all. And the first of them all is Manas Arvind. Manas Arvind has been a professional and leading a corporate life and also managing some businesses. And then he gave up all of that to explore a different side of life in the nature, life in the villages, life in the community. And so he's the right person to talk about all this. Welcome, Manas. Manas, nice to see you here. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you. Thanks for having me here.
Thank you for joining in. So next we have our very own host, Ankit Khandelwal, who is producer of the show. Ankit, welcome on your own show. And we have our usual host and guest, Dr. Nidhi Dhawan, Dr. Manpreet Khemka, Anupma Garg, Dr. Prashant Luthra. So let me have all of them on screen today. Great. So as I said, that practically we have got no agenda, but the original agenda was to talk about village life, which could not really take a proper shape. And but yes, nature is an important theme to talk about. Life in the lap of nature or life away from nature. And what's really close to my heart is that yes, life in nature is the natural, healthy, happy life. And the more we depart from nature, the more we have departed from nature, the more troubles we have created for our own self. Take, for example, a very simple thing. That in the nature, we were supposed to be walking on soil, soft soil, bare feet. But we made pavements and floors and concrete floors, smooth, hard, solid surfaces. And we put on shoes with those comfortable soles in it. As a result of which, our orthopedic system, our skeletal system went for a toss. So now we get those arthritis of the knee, of the hip over a period of time. We were supposed to be actually four-legged animals living on four legs, and we became upright, and our back went for a toss. We've moved to the towns. There was electricity, there was light, there was noise. There were chemicals, there were pollutants in the air, everything added to pollution and toxicity, and our whole system went for a complete toss. We were supposed to be living a very easy, relaxed life, working for about 4 to 6 hours in a day and lazing around, sleeping well, but we work in towns almost 12 hours in a day, hardly get to sleep restfully, and again, a very, very unnatural life. The food which we were supposed to eat was supposed to be very natural. Freshly picked from the farm, freshly cooked and eaten fresh, and in very, very modest quantity. But what we eat is preserved food, rich in calories, rich in fat, and all those toxins and preservatives, no, is all unnatural. So our not just lifestyle, our eating habits, everything has become totally unnatural. We have really come very, very far away from the nature, and that has caused a lot of trouble in terms of physical health, emotional health, mental health, social health, and spiritual health also. So let's take your views on this. Manas, you have spent a lot of time in the villages in the nature now, and after having spent all your life in the metros now, you've seen the difference. So please enlighten us on this part.
Uh, the life I lead today, I could not have imagined even a bit of it a few years ago. I had no idea that it existed. Forget about even agreeing to live this. But once I started moving out, it was like a magnet. It drew me so close that I eventually decided to just move out of town and spend all my time outside the city. It's like I can call it. Cities are the islands in the ocean of the nature. So this is the island life which I moved out. So the big difference is okay. The speed of life is, let's say, the one thing. Uh, the agendas which we talk of. There's so many agendas in a city life which one is born to or one is forced to live with. Not many of those actually exist. I'll say it's a simple thing. Let's say when I work in the field, I get up, I look at the animals or meet the animals, and then I go to the field. And by 10:30, the day first half of the day is over, and then you just sleep under the tree or just chit chat and talk or uh, do something. There's no internet also, and there is no signal also, and there is no light also in the places where I work. And then again, you have your lunch and then take a siesta and get up at around 2:30. Go and work in the field again and be free by 4:35 at by the sunset. That's it. So that's a typical day. And then there is some Gana Bajana and but post sunset by 7:30 it's like you're off to bed, and there's so many stars, unbelievable. Like you must have all experienced it different paths, but I got so used to it that uh, even in the no moon night, you know, I have experienced this, that there's so much light just coming from the stars, like, and there's no moon in the sky and it's not dark. There's like illuminated, so many stars you can see. Just imagine that's the magical world which exists outside the cities, the agendas of the city, the pace of the city. And rightly said, we all that we have created, the layers which have become, which have, it's not we have chosen them to be in this while leading a urban city life. They're like handed over to us. It comes by default, right from the childhood, of the entire career conversation and the competition and the success and accumulation of wealth and building of wealth and the sense of security. All these things are pretty much an urban concept. And the moment you step out, go away from it, take a zoomed out view, there's a lot more to see. It's the piece hits you. It's like it hits you hard. It's like the piece is first time when we go out, the piece hits us violently. Shakes me up. That's
That's very
the
correct, and
day.
very rightly, yeah, you rightly said about the pace, you rightly said about the stars and the light in the moonless night, And I've had, very, very basic minimal experiences only when I'm trekking on the mountains. So that has been the, closest I've been to nature or living a very, very basic life, not a village life, but a very basic life as in lap of the nature. And yes, the sky on us in a moonless night is amazing. It's studded with stars. It's not dark. You can see innumerable stars now. But in city, because of the light pollution of the city, you cannot see the sky properly. at night. You
No, you
cannot see
cannot.
this. You cannot see the stars. You completely miss out on the beauty of the sky at night time in the city. And of
Yes,
course,
yes.
fast-paced life in the city, which has been handed down to us from the generations, has taken a big toll on our psyche and physical health.
There's one more thing I want to just add to this, Dr. Dhawan, is that when we are constantly living, like instead of a week-long trip or a weekend trip to nature, uh, we expose ourselves to the elements, and then there's no differentiation between us humans or any other being which we live with. And this is a recognition, this is a realization which I have made, and to make peace with some very beautiful birds and animals, and also the so-called the snakes and the scorpions and the insects. To live with them is not, the first reaction for me earlier would have been to either run away or to hit or kill the other being. But this over a period of time, the realization has come that one can live in harmony with all of them, and,
Yes.
except the
Yes.
tiger, because if the tiger sees you, then just save yourself.
Yeah.
Because, so I simply say, at the moment I look at the other being, I say, if I am not the other being's food, I'm safe.
Yes. Yeah.
And
So
same
this is
goes with
very
the
correct.
other.
Yeah, this very
It's a,
important thing which you highlighted, that living in harmony with other animals is a very, very important thing, and it's a beautiful life that they lead. And at times I feel kind of envious of the life that animals lead, and their
oh
life is actually very, very beautiful, compared to what the life that we lead. And
yes, sir.
so, because nature has taken care of, has provided for every living being, and every living being is actually equal. We humans somehow get into this complex of megalomania. We think that we are superior than the animals because we got language or we are intelligent or whatever. But in reality, we are not. It's all we are all equal. And we have, yes, exploited the nature. We have manipulated. We have destroyed more than we've created. No, so we have, actually, what you said, that all animals are equal and should live in harmony,
So there is
unless
a
you are
ah.
food for someone. No.
No,
Yeah.
that is the basic wisdom of the jungle, actually. You know,
Yes.
in the city it manifests in a different way. In the city, the humans eat the other humans in various ways, but
Yeah.
that wisdom has to translate in the forest where, okay, I compete for food with other animals, and then I'm mosquitoes food, for example. So I need to know the tiger or the mosquito is the same for me. So the other thing is that when I live in the community, the village, like the real village dwellers, I see there is a lot of collaboration, innovation. There is a lot of presence of mind, because we don't have resources there. We don't have access to things. We can't call things. We can't order things. Everything has to be made. The chat se pani tapakta hai, so you have to fix it yourself. Or if the monsoons are coming, so yeah, stuff like that also happens. Yes, I
Ankit, yes, Ankit, you need to add something now.
I have a question for Manasji, that how is India different from Bharat? Because you have been to India like Gurgaon, which is the most urban city we have, and then you have been to Bharat, which is the rural India, or you have lived in the life of rural, how the villagers live. So what is the difference between both the countries? I mean, I can say countries because India is very different from what Bharat is.
I'll say that they're hugely they are they can be recognized. Actually, there is a the India, if you call the city the urban, the modern India is just like any other Western city, right? Like I'll say Mumbai and New York and Gurgaon or Moscow or Tokyo, they will be similar to each other in various ways. But the countrysides of these countries also, or the outside, the rural areas of any of these countries, They are microcosms. They are small communities. They are complete systems. Each village is supposed to be a complete system, though it's being broken, it's being fragmented now because of let's say the tourism coming or the industrialization and the industrial farming coming in. But let's say when I go to the eastern Maharashtra and in the tribal areas, they are managing to preserve their sense of community. The Gonds, the tribes there, they are proud of that. So each of these areas, the eastern Maharashtra or the western Maharashtra tribes or the Tamil Nadu tribes, they are their own countries with languages, food, traditions, and culture. Interestingly, the most common thread I found is the equivalence between the gender. The tribal communities or the rural communities have a much better. In fact, there the crime against women or any kind of disparity is much lower, or in fact invisible, in the tribal communities or village communities of these places than in the cities and in the educated systems. So I'll say the economic systems or the modern systems have created that gaps. Whereas in the Gond tribes and all, I see that. So how can you compare these? Like how can I compare Gurgaon where or Delhi where the women cannot even walk, or in the Gond tribe where the women would probably safeguard the men, just in case. So these are some of the very glaring uh, differences. And in terms of mental health or strength or physical health, of course, people who live in nature or work with hands, they are far more healthier or centered, I'll say.
A very big thing which you said is that the difference between the genders is much lesser in village and in rural communities, and especially in tribal communities compared to the semi-urban and urban places. That's a big difference. No? Dr. Prashant, you have spent, I think, a big part of your life in smaller places and in the proximity of villages, if not in villages themselves. Now, what is your view on this?
First of all, I would like to tell you that I'm a villager by choice. 12 years back, I came to a place far away from north, from the glitter of an urban life. And though it was a very difficult decision for my family to move from all the way from Delhi and Haryana to this far, but now I feel that it was a right decision. I have seen villages from very closely. I have seen villages, and one I would like to share one incident of my life. I spent 1 year in a village as a student. One fine morning, when I was in 8th standard, my father I, told me, it was a shock of my life, that from tomorrow onwards you are not going to your regular school. I've got an admission for you in a village school. So that was completely absurd. I mean, I couldn't understand the logic behind that. And to reach that village, I had to go to another village where a cycle was kept for me. Thankfully, my father made all the arrangements, and that cycle was also 24 inches for an 8th standard boy. So I had to go there, and from there I have to pick my cycle, and then I had to ride the cycle for 8 kilometers to reach the village, and I did it for 6 months. And for first couple of months, I really cursed my father. Why? What sin I have committed in my previous life that you have, done this to me? But when I asked my father, actually, I never used to ask questions to my father. But one day he said, you know why I got an admission for you in a village school? Because I want you to see village life closely. I want you to be sensitive for the problems of village. Actually, he had a NSS camp there from college, and he saw village life very closely, and he felt that my son also should get an exposure of village. And believe it or not, that exposure is helping me now. And it took no time for me to take a decision to move all the way from Delhi to this place. And I was in Hisar teaching there for 10 years in a college. It's a big city, and I used to teach for 9 hours a day, 4 hours in the college, and I used to run my own academy there. Uh, and I almost spoiled my health. So when this opportunity came, I grabbed it. Though there was a lot of resistance from my family that why are you going? And in my place where I am right now, there's no mall, nothing like that, no cinemas, nothing. When I remove the shades of my window in the morning, I see green hills. In the morning, I go walking to my university. I don't wear chappals, right? And in the university, I wear chappals. You won't believe I wear rubber chappals there. I've not seen shoes for last 6 months. And my campus is lush green, and sometimes I see snakes and Russell vipers and all those snakes crossing the road, and I see scorpions, I see peacocks, we have deer, and such a beautiful. There are two lakes in my place, and sometimes I go for walk. I sit there. There are small benches over there. I sit and just see the birds, migratory birds, and such a beautiful life. In the night, you see the clear sky. And even I would go to the extent, I don't want to be too poetic, but I would say that we can count the stars in the sky. Such a beautiful life. And I think I have regained my health also. And such a beautiful, calm, peaceful life I'm leading. And thanks to the training I had. And one more thing I would like to add here, that in my university, we have a program every year. For 15 days, we take our students to villages and we give them the exposure of village. They interact with villagers, try and understand their problems, and then they solve them. They counsel them. They and try to become sensitive to their issues. And we also go with them, and we spend the whole day with them. 15 days. It's a part of our curriculum, and nowhere in any university you'll find such a program. And we carry food with us, we carry clothes with us, and we distribute those clothes and food among the villagers. And such a beautiful life, I mean, we experience here. And I can speak for hours together, but I want to restrict myself.
Great,
Thank you.
great. So, Nukma, you have also been, again, not in a village, but in a smaller city, not far from the villages and all. What has been your experience in your early life?
So, like you said, it's been a small city where I've been born and raised. But the interesting bit is that almost 2 months of the year we would spend in one or the other village because my uncle and aunt were posted. They were government employees, and they would, get to teach in these schools in remote parts of Rajasthan. Um, it was in a way good because we had a stable life for the fact that my father wasn't transferred much. So we could pursue education in a structured format. But it was also good because it gave us, say, a sufficient exposure to understand what the difference is like, and at the same time not be too presumptuous or not be driven by the fantasy of what village life might be like. Because one of the things that I feel is a lot of us city dwellers who never experienced what a village is like close up, we have a lot of fantasies in our head. कितना सुंदर होगा, how green it'll be and how lush it'll be and life कितनी simple होगी. हाँ शायद होगी, but are you even in your heart and your mind equipped to fit into that life? Or are you imagining that you will go there, have a vacation, try to solve some problems, assume that the villagers are dealing with some sort of weird ignorance, which is in your head ignorance, but for them it's their way of life, and then go and try to change it. Like Manu said, it's broken. So for me, how I look at village life now in retrospect is that I enjoyed being there because it was a break. But if I were expected to live there, I probably might not experience the same kind of comfort. At the same time, I also believe that it's a developed taste because simplicity is not for everybody. Bina mirch masale ka khana is something that you have to learn to eat, especially if you come from a family which eats like this spicy, stereotypical Rajasthani food. So I'm using that as an analogy, and I'm saying that you have to train yourself consciously to not deconstruct to not sort of destroy where you go as a guest. To me, it's a luxury at this moment, and because it's a luxury, I don't want to be unfair by going there as a guest and then pretending to be like this. Oh, you know what? I'm this Ajmer se lauta hua, Delhi se lauta hua, nice, fancy, funky girl. Now please serve me bajre ka roti and mirchi ka chutney, and then let me feel nice. I find it very hypocritical. So if I have to really sort of think of village life, either I have to be willing to change myself from within and then adapt to it and make like a structural fundamental change within my being, or else then I should stay where I am and not have to deal with that hypocrisy. Like for me, village life is about changing yourself fundamentally. So either you do that or you don't do that. There's no pretension. There's no beach mein jaake break leke vacation leke aa gaye. That's how. Like
Correct.
I'm not sure if that's what you wanted to hear, but
No,
that's how I feel.
I agree. I agree with you. That's a different aspect. That of course the urban dwellers, for us to move to villages may not be possible, and may not be the right thing to do also. But knowing that what a village life for a villager is, and how that life is, analyzing how that life is better in terms of physical, mental, emotional, spiritual health, can guide us into what changes we should bring in our life, to move close to that scenario. We cannot relocate ourselves, but if we can make some adjustments in our life, learning from their life, that is the whole idea here. We cannot really go there, make any changes. We cannot really go there and live their life. Of course, if somebody can, really relocate there, it may take a few months to get adjusted to that. And once you're adjusted, you may actually be happier off, like Manas has been. And but not for a city dweller like me and for Nidhi. Now Nidhi's raising both her hands. I know what's coming next. So Nidhi, now for Nidhi, of course, she enjoys all the comforts of life. She needs all those infrastructure and facility, but she's in a way also similar to what I am talking about, being close to the nature. She loves plants. She loves bonsai. So in that much, she has a connection with nature, and she's a literary person. She's a poetic person. So again, that connection is there. But she's been so programmed to live an urban life that for her to imagine a different life would be difficult. No? Okay, Nidhi, why don't you tell yourself?
From her, yeah.
So
Yes.
don't speak for me. So I'm so glad to be here. But I have to play the devil's advocate here and say that, it's easy for us who are living in the cities to compare our life with their life and think that ours is different and we have to, as Anupama said, solve some problems. Also, it is easy for us and very natural for us to have that romanticized view of that lovely village life close to nature, stars in the sky, close to the elements and all that. However, when, and Manas did point to that, he alluded to that, when you're living there, you actually realize that that's a life in itself. We're all prisoners of our own life. And whether it's in the city or it is in the village, we are still prisoners. We choose the lens that we view the life with, and whatever the differences, they appear very stark. A village dweller would love to come to the city because of the glitter that he sees, and we who are overburdened by this glitter are going to move to that romanticized view of the village. Neither is the correct perspective. And as Prashant said that, we have this program where we distribute clothes and it's a lovely life. Villagers are happy in their clothes. They're not looking for those clothes that we think they need. I mean, I'm sure you must have seen scarcity and you must have seen hardship, but that's what your lens is. It's not their lens. So each, and as Sanjay said, I want my comfort, I want my luxury. So when he says he's going on a trekking trip, I tell him that I'm willing to go to the Everest base camp, because at the end of a day's trek, I will have a bed to sleep in and hot water to have my bath in the morning. These are the only two things that I want from the city comfort, but I want them. And I don't think there is anything wrong with that. At the same time, I love the stars in the sky, but I love them because I see them every once in a while. I don't see them every day. And if I see them every day, they will become a part of my landscape. They will become something I don't even notice. The other things that overpower my world will become more noticeable. And those other things I would want to solve on my own, not from the perspective of a city dweller who thinks they're my problems. I mean, as a city dweller, I think I need to give a villager the chance to be himself and to portray his world realistically, not the fantasized version of a city dweller's view.
So here the objective of today's conversation is not really to talk in terms of a social comparison, or
No,
even
I'm not making a
comparison. No,
I'm not making a social comparison.
Hmm.
What I'm saying is that we city dwellers look at that life because it is different from ours, and we have this fantastic romanticized version of how nice and peaceful it is because it is different.
Yeah, so I know I'm coming to the point. I understand that what you're saying, that difference is what, but my perspective here, my question here is not from these standpoints. My question here is from the purely biological standpoint. That biologically, which is a better life to lead? And biologically, the closer to nature you are, the more natural you live, the better off you are. Deviating from the nature is what has caused all the problems.
Now Anupama is raising her hand.
Yes, the villagers want to come to the cities. The city dwellers want to go to the villages. That's maybe because of the glitter and the romanticism, vice versa. But that is not the question here. The question is, purely from a biological point of view, that what is, say, from the point of view of physical, mental, social, spiritual health, a better way to live.
So I would say that each has its merits and demerits. As city dwellers, we have experienced more demerits. But ask a young person, say, who is just starting off in his life, he would have the ambition and aspiration to achieve something that the city can give him. And that is the same for a villager as it is for a town's boy. At our stage in life, when we are kind of, been there, done that, now it is the time to find a little peace and realize that you've screwed up your life, mind, and body. So if this is where it gets screwed up, then that is where probably we can unscrew it. So it's like, true. There is more opportunity to live a healthier life there, but that opportunity is not missing here. Progress is not equal to a screwed up life, and it depends on our perspective.
That is a social perspective. A social aspirations is what you're hinting at, and I'm not talking about those. Those are obviously there. Obviously, a village dweller would want their son, their kids to come to the city and rise on that ladder that we all are feeling sick and tired of. But here the question is purely, as I said, a biological nature, that which is a better life to live, in terms of the physical, mental, and social health. Ankit, what are your views? You've not shared your views.
So I believe that I think we are surrounded by concrete forest, and I would like to go for a modern village where we have a balance of life. And for me, environment plays an important role. with some kind of trees or mountain or maybe pond, because it's difficult for us to get that in Delhi. And we are missing one important point, that a lot of millions of people in India, they are in villages and they are traveling every day to a city to work. So they are balancing their life on daily basis, working in city and then going back to village. And they know both the life, how they manage it, but they still prefer village life, because that's how their I don't know, maybe the roots, or they want to go back to family or stuff like that. But also importantly, a lot of people opted for a smaller village or a smaller city because of the cost surrounding in the urban cities, because of concrete forests and we have built. So I think it's more life, and I would prefer for modern village. There are a couple of modern villages examples we have in India, but that's what I would definitely go for.
So we see you're talking about an idealistic view of the future, and Manas, coming back to you, as I said that my perspective is a biological perspective, and Anupama has touched more of a social perspective, and he has touched more of a social development thing put together. So what are your views on this now? That biologically, which you think is a better life, and then socially is a better life, and aspirationally development, which is a better life?
See, this is, I think, medically now accepted, or scientifically accepted, that the pollutions of different kinds, or stimulants of different kinds, overstimulation, is not physiologically and mentally healthy. If we are constantly exposed to noise above certain decibels, if we are inhaling air which is polluted, has certain particle levels, even if it's kind of the city is imposed that on everybody. Like, it's not my doing, this pollution. Even if I just walk to my market and I take a cloth bag in the city, I'm not contributing to it. But it's like the design of the city is such. So why not? Why it's not possible? If there is a conscious effort, if we, around us there is ample space where we can plant trees, we can choose to walk, we can choose to reduce plastic, we can choose to not have vehicles on the road if our workplace and residences are nearby. If we choose to not have radiation, or let's say reduced radiation in the air, we can have a much of these things sorted out. I remember I grew up actually in an urban village in Delhi near IIT, and I was just recollecting while I was listening to everybody. We were in the middle of the city, and the village had animals, and I would chase the buffaloes and all that stuff as a child, and sometimes buffalo chased me. So it's not necessary, it's not important, but we know we have lived this life inside Delhi only when there was less noise and less pollution. But today I was having a word with my child, and she feels kind of alienated, can't go and meet friends. I said, this is our doing. Like earlier, you could just walk out to across the road and meet friends and be late, eat at somebody's place. But that was the kind of a social community lifestyle we had. Today, I have to drive her to meet her friends, and kind of they have, what do they call that, the sleepovers or something like that.
Yeah.
So one of the parents said, drop her and go. I said, where will I go if I drop her? It's like I don't know what kind of life. Why can't you go yourself and your child can come over on their own? Why do we have to do this? But the distance is 40 kilometers today. So it has to be done. I think we have done this, but this can be reversed. A lot of it can be reversed. And especially in this community where we are talking, we are aware of this, and we can bring the stars back to the city. It's not a big deal if we start today. We have seen last year, we saw that, right? In the lockdown, the skies got cleared, and we saw the
Correct.
birds and bees in the city itself. So we are not far. We are part of the nature. Zoom out, we are nothing. We are just a speck on this earth. And that
Absolutely.
city. Yeah, we are part of this global village itself. But it's just, we just need to start get conscious about.
So that is the objective, to stimulate a thought process to realize, okay, what is good in the village life, what is good in natural life, what is good in the urban life, and try to bring the good things together and eliminate the bad stuff. At least as a first step, we should eliminate the bad stuff which is there in our lives. No? And I can very well relate with what Manas said, that I also grew up in a place where the house was actually cut out from in the fields. No? They're all fields, and then where houses were built. So the field then was about 50 meters away from the house. So in an urban village where cattle would be roaming all around, so I grew up in an urban village, and I saw it changing from an urban village to a very concrete jungle. And I have been have had some experience, and have lived for a year in a small hilly place in Pokhara, in Nepal. So that was an again experience close to the nature. I've been going to the treks and all, experiencing some very, very basic life. So at least it opened my mind to be observant and to go into the depth of the thing, to realize what is the right way and what is not the right way. And actually, when we live in the cities, we're so tuned to that we do not even realize that what are all negatives we are surrounded by. We do not even realize that there is no silence around us until unless we go to the villages and silence hits us. As Mana said, the peace hits us. Peace hits us very, very hard, and it takes a lot of time to get used to that peace. And we do not even realize in city that there's no peace here. So that's the scenario. So we have basically tried to look at the positives of all the sides and make an attempt to bring them all together. Anupama, you were trying to say something. Please go ahead.
I just wanted to add something to what the biological question and the different responses we heard. I think one of the way I look at it, the very distinction between biology and social life and everything else, that distinction in itself is a breakdown in life, because how I live, what my social circumstances are, what access do I have to clean drinking water, what access do I have to good nutritious food, what access do I have to the levels of pollution, like Manas pointed out, and the opportunities to make a living, earn a living, whatever that is a part of how my biology is going to shape up over years, how my physiology, how my body is going to act. So, if I were to say that I'm very happy living in a village, but will I be able to access medical care should I need, is a question of biology to me, even though it's a social problem, even though it's an economic problem. So, it is a very idealistic way of saying, oh, let's have a balanced village. Sure, we can make those efforts, but at some level, I think I've sort of lost hope, because I think we've already destroyed a lot already. And the amount of destruction we've already created, while Manas is on the hopeful side of the spectrum and he says we can reverse it, I am not too sure of the intent that we really have. Like, what is the action plan will be probably my question, rather than just some of us saying, chalo karte. Because we might have the privilege. Does everybody have the same privilege? Is my next level of question. So even when you ask us for the biological standpoint, it brings me back to everything else that does affect biology at some or the other level, even though it's not biology.
Both the things you said are absolutely correct. I'm completely with you that yes, biology and social life is interlinked, and also that we have destroyed ourselves so much that is possibly it's definitely not easy to reconstruct ourselves, or to change back. But unless we do not realize that we have destroyed things, and this is not the ideal life that we are living. And ideal life can be something like that. No, there'll not be any motivation or any intent to make that change. So first is we need to realize that there are negatives around us which can be eliminated. There is a positive way of living. Of course, maybe it may not be the ideal way, but at least better than what we are now. Only then we can try to make that change. So objective is to have that awareness, to see or to explore, through people's experience, through people's wisdom, that what is a better way of living, how it can be changed, where should we be tomorrow. At least we should start moving towards that destination.
So if I were to when you say that this is better or that is better, you again bring a comparison and a sort of a benchmark, which is a lens. And people, I'll say the same thing again, we are prisoners of our own life, and we continue to be so till we break free. The stars hit us, the peace hits us because we are suffering the lack of it. The internet is attractive, that mall is attractive because they have the lack of it. The middle ground would be great and ideal. Pollution definitely needs to be cut down. All these things sound very good, but man has evolved in a certain way to so technology is not all bad, and Ankit is the king of technology. I mean, if in the middle of a pandemic there are 6 people sitting here and having this discussion, that's technology for you, right? We are in different locations, different cities, we could be in different countries, and we could still get together and have this discussion. So technology is not all bad. Technology has given us a lot of time to examine where we went wrong. So it's that classic case of, if you have a ship, you will catch more fish. If you catch more fish, you will buy one more ship. When you buy one more ship, you will catch more fish. And then what? Then you can sit in the sun and enjoy yourself. So that's what I'm doing right now. So it's that classic.
That's a very important, very nice example which you gave, and which brings me to the point that, okay, we city dwellers may not be able to make any change because we destroyed everything so far. But there is a person who's living in the villages and who right now is aspiring to come to the city and change his life. He's attracted by the glitter. He's attracted by the technology. He's attracted by the fast pace of city life now. If we feel that he's actually living a better life, should we not actually go and convey to him that you are already having a good life? Please do not look towards the city. We have already destroyed it. So although for city dwellers, maybe there's no hope, but there is still hope left for people who are already living in the villages.
No, there is
so
hope.
The message to them should not be, please come to the cities for education and for development. No, we are giving a wrong message to that. And believe me, right now, I think the general message which is conveyed to the villages is that life in cities is better, more education, more job opportunities, better life, you earn more, you've got cars, you've got stuff like that. We are sending the wrong signals, the wrong messages. It's time to change that communication. We need to tell them that you are actually leading a better life. Do not change it. Let us bring the opportunity for employment to you. So that
try telling that to the villager. Try telling that to the villager whose field is eaten up by the animals, or ravaged by the flood, or whose roof is leaking. Try telling that villager.
The message should be that, okay, fine, we will bring to you what you're missing in your life over here. Don't come to the city. It's not a good life over there. So even able to do that, we have served a big purpose. Prashant, what do you say for that?
Ankit wanted to say something.
So according to me, I mean, what happened is that I think we people and media and the perception that the urban life is good, and we are selling a lot of urban cities. I mean, everywhere, be it movies, be it anything. I mean, and we don't talk about our villages, and at least I think we are not celebrating our villages. If we start celebrating villages, and then we can create some kind of an exposure for both of the communities to bring together on a common platform, so that they can understand each other. Because according to me, villagers also experience the urban life at some point of time, and also vice versa. So maybe, because you remember we had a concept called holiday home. So why can't we have a village home? Because already a lot of people have villages, home at villages, but they're not maintaining it, but they prefer to in a holiday home. So maybe we can have some kind of concept which brings us back to the village at some point of time, and see what else, how we can balance our life in both the aspects of community building, basically.
You use a very right phrase that we need to celebrate villages and celebrate villagers.
Yep.
You know, show them respect so that they continue to live over there rather than try to migrate to the cities and to the glamour of the life. So look at Punjab. You know, youngsters from Punjab have left Punjab, have gone to Canada, have gone to UK, gone to US. You know, and now migrant laborers come to Punjab to do the farming for them.
Yeah.
Which is very, very strange, you know, and that's something which is very, very undesirable.
Yeah.
Yes, Manas.
Manas wants to say something. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Very interesting points, and they're very, in fact, elaborate economical discussions. Each one of them, the migrations and the farming and all these things. Why people come to cities and why people from urban people want to go to the cities, aspiration and stimulants of the different lives. One thing which I want to come back to was to start, like Anupama asked, what is that which we can do? So for me, my first question is that I deserve to, or it's my right to have clean water, clean air, and clean food. Whatever life I'm leading, if these three things are fundamental to me, and I would like to provide this to my child. You know, I talk like this, that it's not that I want to do it for the world or something. I said, if me and my child is not getting it, my life is not good. I had cars and houses and properties, but my air was not clean, the water was not clean. That's where the change started. That's where we started a small initiative in Gurgaon called a farmers market. It's been 7 years, and how a small little community has started working along with farmers. Now some of them have started taking small farms on lease and along with farmers partners. It's a very beautiful little microcosmic experience. So at least people have started clearing their food. And then first time I met Dr. Dhawan was cycling. We were doing what was called the critical mass ride, trying to occupy the roads of Delhi. That's where we met, right? Remember?
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Some 10, 12 years ago. So let's say making our roads safer, or to occupy the roads. We say that they are not safe. I say I want to ride. I'll ride in the middle of the road. देखें कार वाला क्या करता है. Challenge the status quo. Somewhere we have to create that small little movement. Walk small distances. Like it's easy to. It's actually possible to walk 2 or 3 kilometers to the nearest market with a jhola thela and get your stuff. It's possible. It's just a 20, 25 minutes, 30 minutes kind of a walk. It's nice. And if we can start making small little changes and start spending a little time away from the internet. Just conversations with the family, with the friends. This is great actually. This is great technology actually I'm doing, where we can talk like, मुझे तो वापस गांव जैसे ही फील आ रहा है कि ऐसे ना बैठ गए आग जला करके और खाना खाने के बाद में 6-7 लोग और गप्पे मार एक बॉनफायर भी होना चाहिए इसमें. तो इस तरीके का फैमिली के साथ में अगर हम सिटी के अंदर भी कर रहे हैं और थोड़ा थोड़ा भी अपने आप को, लेट्स नॉट टेक वर्क होम फॉर एग्जांपल, स्टार्ट रिड्यूसिंग अ लिटिल बिट. वर्क फ्रॉम होम बहुत ज्यादा आई थिंक लोगों को अफेक्ट करता है. जितना ज्यादा मैं अपना टाइम किसी और कंपनी को या किसी क्लाइंट को या किसी बिजनेस को देता हूँ, उतना ही टाइम तो मैं अपने आप से चुरा ले रहा हूँ या अपने आप को जो देना था नहीं दे पा रहा हूँ या अपने परिवार को नहीं दे पा रहा हूँ. तो मेरा परिवार, मेरा कम्युनिटी, मेरा फैमिली, ये छोटे छोटे हम लोग आपस में आज 1 घंटा बात कर पा रहे हैं. बहुत it's a great thing actually. This is an amazing thing. So we can create these opportunities.
So Manas, we some years ago we went to Europe for a conference, Austria, and we realized कि जब conference खत्म होती है, everything is closed. 6 o'clock the conference was over, but there was no shop, no mall, no market, Nothing was open. All that you could do, and Europe has very long days. It has days which, I mean, at 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock, there is light. You get disoriented coming from India. Ke, itna lamba din. What do you do then? I mean, you can't even go out and sit in a restaurant to eat with the family. What do? You sit in the park with your neighbors, or you sit at home and have a drink, maybe. But you spend time with people because you can't do anything else. But in India, for whatever reasons may be valid, but for whatever reasons, we haven't built that culture of peopling. We haven't built the culture of time. We haven't built the culture of just being. We have built the culture of constantly aspiring, running, and sure, we can do that. Maybe we can do that in pockets. Maybe we can do that because we understand that this is not working for us in the long run. But it's a cultural issue, I feel, at least for us. And those cultural changes will happen. We are getting impatient. They will happen. But it's a cultural issue.
But
so
the
if we look at
the history, actually, the history, because when the partition happened, especially in the northern India, there's a lot of, and when India achieved independence, there's a partition, there's a lot of strife, and it took almost 50 years for the India to rebuild itself. So that is the reason why that's the reason why there is always a constant struggle to become better and to earn the living and to make a better life. So that's where
we got used to running on that.
However,
hamster wheel.
When you said the culture of peopling and all, and spending time with the family, easy time, that culture was there. We've forgotten that. The village chapal was there. We've forgotten that. The nukkad of the gully was there. We've forgotten that. No.
True.
And so we need to bring back that culture. And yes, the conversation like this is also to bring about that change, that culture back, and at least tell the people of villages that your culture is right. If you're spending time in the chapal and if you're just idling, it is important to have time spent without any agenda with the community. So we should convey to them that you're doing the right thing, and we should try to bring in some change in our lives too. Yes,
there's one. If you know of Jayaprakash Narayan, JP, so he worked on a lot of social changes, and one of his idea was to have what we call the thinking circles or thought circles, basically. And it was basically just create a group of small 6-7 people and meet every week and just talk about something, just sit and discuss something. And this I find very, very potent as an idea that, to have, just say this, every Friday we are meeting, we create a culture of this. And in my life, I've seen this, that we always could kind of sit in the park and just chat till the, कि अभी बहुत देर हो गई है, अभी घर जाना चाहिए. और वहां से लेकर के came to the point कि, neighbor कौन है पता नहीं है, सिर्फ hello hi होती है lift के अंदर. In my life, I've seen this change. So why it has happened? Maybe because from my, the modest or lower middle class upbringing, I moved up to a very upper middle class, very ambitious, very competitive lifestyle. In my single 20 years professional journey, I've seen that transition. And it was just like I compromised to that. So maybe I don't have to compromise, right? I'm human. I can innovate. I can think. I have the power to innovate. And just see how such small activities can be created around us and in the children, actually. I don't want to say, I don't know, I will not do it, but I will tell my children to do it. But I will do it so that my children see me lead a life which is happy for me. And then they also see the power of it. And somehow they coexist with the internet and the mobile phones and the cinemas and the malls. They find that 1 or 2 weekly meetups or power of discussion or the communication and physical activity, some gaming, physical games and all those being created. And we need to carry it not just as a child, but as people, like whether it's cycling, running, kabaddi, kho-kho, whatever soccer we can play. So small little initiatives in the city which will make our life very village-like. You know, what is village?
So I
Village is a
think,
group
yeah, so
of
we can
people.
actually create the concept of virtual village now. And look, I think this idea that, for us to take it further, creating a virtual village maybe is part of the life chat now. And see where it goes and what can be done about that. And so we are coming to the close of our program. So let me just take a final message from all of you. We have, of course, have had a very open-ended discussion, and we've not reached any conclusions in it, no. But Ankit, what is your final message for everyone?
I believe villages is not just for vacation or for detoxing yourself or just a change. We should experience village life. And secondly, I think we have less village, leaders, or maybe we can say people who are or heroes of village. But one of the names which is very popular, everyone knows, is Sonam Wangchuk from Ladakh. He created a village which is like an urban technology-based village. And I mean, if he can do in Ladakh, we can do anywhere else in India as well. So I think we should have a lot of different inspiration stories from villages, and then we can inspire more people to balance it out, maybe have a second home in village or something like that.
Great. Prashant, what is your message for everyone?
I believe it's better to go to the village because there's so many opportunities. To go to a village, we can educate the youth so that they don't migrate to cities. We can create employment opportunities for them. Instead of creating a set in our houses in a city to get the feeling of a village, we can actually go to a village. There's so many opportunities. In fact, we're learned people, and we can guide them. As Dr. Nidhi just now mentioned, that we see the darker side of village, like flooding and all, leaking roofs and all that. Yeah, can't we go and help them? Can't we just tell them how to build a,
No, that's not what I said.
good concrete house? Yes.
No, that's not what I said. I said we don't see that side. I said we don't see that side. We have a fantastic romanticized view, Bobby. We don't see that life.
People actually, okay.
No, you're misquoting me. I did not say that.
Okay. No, it's a general impression. It's a general impression about villages, that yes, there is a difficult life in village. Yes, there is a difficult life for villagers, but yes, whatever we can contribute to better bring betterment to their life, yes, we can, and it will give us an opportunity to interact with them and just have a stroll in fresh air. So that's what I have to say.
Good.
And of course,
what is your message?
Yes,
Prashant, please go ahead.
One more thing, and we all have our own definitions of progress. For me, progress is health and peace. For many, progress is running after all that luxuries and comforts. Fine. And technology, my definition of technology is technology. First, we make our lives miserable, and then we use technology to correct it. And this cycle goes on. So let us not fall prey to technology. Yeah. Use technology to make our life better and go back to our root elements. That's what I have to say. Thank you.
Great. Anupma, what is your message?
So I don't know if this is a message for the rest of the people who are listening to us, but I think it's a takeaway that I have made for myself. It doesn't matter whether you make a choice, like Dr. Prashant said, to go back to the village, or like Manas said, to bring the village to the cities. But what matters is, are you honest to yourself about what you're doing? Because only if you're honest, you'll be able to actually live with that choice and also set an example of that choice to, like Manas said, to your children or to whoever. And for me, the message is that please make your choices wisely. We are all wise people. We don't need somebody else to tell us what to choose. But then make them with a sense of awareness, and make them choices which are sustainable and which you can live up to, and not false promises of fantasy la la lands that you're living. That's what my takeaway from today's discussion is.
Good. Nidhi, what is your final message?
So I feel balance is important. I feel that the kind of romanticized, fantastic view we have of the village life is equally the fantastic, romanticized view a villager has of the city life. And as both Anupama and Manas are saying, you can either take the city to the village or bring the village to the city. Basically, it is about balance. We do need to build a culture of calm and less stimulation, more interaction. And we should not think that we have to solve somebody else's problem. We have to create that area where problems solve themselves. It may be a very fantastic view, but that happens when cultures shift. It doesn't happen when individuals try to define problems and make them different. So I think we need a cultural shift, a balanced lens to kind of bring both the worlds into a healthy, sustainable, peaceful world. Leave the world a better place with every action.
But here, in the discussion, the problem was not the villages. The problem was the city. It is not the we're not about the rural illiteracy, but the urban illiteracy. That we in the race for the progress, we got so much trapped in it that we do not even realize that we have caused as much harm as good we have done. So that is the whole the discussion about. Anyway, Manas, what is your final message to everyone?
I've been trying to think of. I got a time to think of what my message will be, and I found that there's we need to find a village within, and if we find the village within and we understand what that village is, for me, village is a harmonious coexistence with my other fellow human beings, the other animals and other beings. And if that harmony I can create within myself, then for me, any place will be village, and my actions will be in harmony with my environment. Our cities will become beautiful. Our consumption will be normalized, will be optimized. Our pollutions will come down, and the gap between there's a lot of economic activity and all those things. Personal aspirations have to work. But as long as if I can recognize and I can respect the villager within me, which trusts the environment, the community around, and can work along, I think we start solving a lot of problems. We are actually embarking on a solution if we start behaving like we have a village inside us.
Great. So the amazing points put forward by all the guests over here. And what I would like to say at the end is that for me, the keyword is not village. I am not thinking or talking in terms of village or city. I'm talking in terms of nature and synthetic or artificial or unnatural. No. For me, the keyword is nature. And I say that we should be as close to nature and natural living as possible wherever we are. In this whole progress of development and the journey, we have left behind a lot of bad things, but we have also left behind a lot of good things. We have acquired a lot of good stuff, but we also got a lot of bad stuff. We need to identify that what was good in the past and claim that back. What was bad in the past, of course, do not get that back. What is bad of the present, try to give it up, and just keep the good. So we need to act as a filter. So we need to keep in mind that, yes, and I again repeat myself by saying that natural life, lived close to the nature is a much better and wholesome life, which is not natural than whose life is not natural and away from the nature. So nature is the key word, and we should try to become part of the nature as much as possible. With that, I'd like to thank all my guests over here.
So I have to have the last word.
Nidhi,
I have to have the last word.
Shant and Anupama. Yes, Nidhi, please go ahead now.
No,
last word.
Because you set us up by talking about the village, and you ended by talking about nature.
In fact, they are synonyms, I think. Synonyms.
Yeah.
Villages are closer to nature. So we can
Yes. Yeah.
use
So village
either
comes close to the nature, and so the romanticism is not in the stars and the moon and the rivers, but in the village being as closer to nature than a city or urban life is. So that's what was meant, and thanks to all of you for sharing your wisdom and thoughts, and I'd like to thank the viewers for attending this, and I'll see you again next week, next Friday, same time, with yet another important subject related to life. Till then, thank you, bye-bye, and
Thank you.
namaste.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
I welcome all of you to IBM TV and to this show, which is Dr. Dhawan's live chat, and I'm your host, Dr. Sanjay Dhawan. I'm an eye surgeon practicing in New Delhi. The live chat is a show which talks about any and all aspects of life, any subject, anything that concerns the life or it improves its quality is what we will be talking about. How to plan for it, how to prepare for it. So we'll be talking about all of this. Looking forward to seeing all of you every Friday night, 9:30 p.m. to 10:30 p.m.